Hey, so what's going on, everybody? So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a top 10 high score using local web storage, a couple of arrays, and so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to create a new layout with an event sheet, and we're going to name it high score, and we'll name the event sheet, of course, EVT high score. Alright, and we want our size of the layout to be the same as everything else, 960 by 640. Let's get that fitting on the screen. Okay, so there's our layout. So let's go ahead and add a background sprite, and I've created one here for you to use. It's in the add-ons graphics zip file. Alright, so let's go ahead and size this correctly, 960 by 640, and it goes to 480 by 320. Okay, and what I did is I used the same background for everything else, but I added top 10 number list here. Okay, so this is our background. Let's lock that and add a new layout. Or a new layer, I'm sorry. Okay, and we have a sprite here for our heading, which is our, top 10 high scores. Alright, we can just stick that right here at the top somewhere. Like so, make it look pretty. Maybe shrink it down a little bit, it's pretty huge. Top 10 high scores. Okay, so there we go. That looks pretty. Next thing we need to do is we need to add some text boxes for each score. Text object. So let's go ahead and add one text object. Let's go ahead and turn our grid on. Okay, let's see if these actually are going to line up or not. Not quite. Oh, that's right, because these go in the upper corner, and you can't change it. So let's do like a 16 by 16 grid. Let's see, does that line up now? That's better. Okay. So let's change to bold and size 18. Let's see where that gets us. Maybe size 24. Well, let's go up one more. Let's go 26. That looks pretty good. Okay, so let's name this text score. Alright, and now what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste these in order, top 10. Okay, so we're just going to do a copy and a paste. Up to. We're not going to clone it. We want it to be the same name for each one of these. Okay. So it's essentially the same object. Let's make these line up the best we can. I'm not going to get too picky about it just for this demonstration. Okay. Okay. So there's our 10 scores. Okay. That is all we need on the layout right now. Now what we need is our event sheet for the high score. Okay. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a global variable. It's just going to be called high score. It's going to be text. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this if we don't already currently have a high score web storage on the machine. This will be the default one that will be used. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set it to all zeros. So we need 10 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No comma at the end. Okay, so there's our high score currently. It's all zeros. All right, and then we're going to do just about everything on the start of the layout. Okay, so on start of layout. All right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to check to see if we have a web storage for the local key already established. So first thing we need to do is go back to our game, and we need to go ahead and add the web storage object. Okay, and then we'll go back to our high score. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a sub-event, web storage, and local key exists. So we're going to check if a local key exists called w high score. This is what we're going to call our local save file. Okay, web high score. So w high score. So we're going to check to see if that exists. Okay. And if it does exist, we're going to go ahead and set our high score to what the high score, or what our value is in our web storage. Okay? So let's set high score to web storage. Actually, let me do it this way so you can see. Web storage, local value. Okay? And then our key is the name of our web storage, w high score. All right, it has to be in parentheses. Okay, so we're going to check and see if this local value exists on the local machine. Okay? Perfect. Now what we need to do for our high score is we need to go ahead and add the array object. Okay, and we're going to name this array AR score. Oops, AR score. All right, and it's going to have a width of 10, meaning we're going to store 10 values in it. Okay, and these are going to be, the way arrays work are they have a width, a height, and a depth. So if you're just wanting a basic array, a one-dimensional array, it's going to use the width, which is the x. So basically, I can store 10 values in this array. Okay. Now, if I add in a height, then we're talking about a y-axis. So now we have, so if I have a width of 10 and a height of 10, that's actually 100 spaces in the grid, because you're looking at it like a grid, just like a grid here. So it'll be 10 by 10. Okay. And then you can add a depth, which is the three-dimensional element going back so many spaces. So if you add, anyways, I don't want to get into it too deep, but that's the way arrays work. So we're just using a simple one-dimensional array to store our scores. Okay. So back to our event sheet. So we're going to check and see if our web storage event exists. If it does, what we're going to do is we're going to add a sub-event, AR score, and we're going to do a for each element x, because that's all we're using is our x, our width. Okay, so what this is going to do is it's going to go through the array for each one of the boxes it's occupying for x. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to break up this this high score and put one of these values into each x. Okay, so we're going to do set x. And the x that we're going to set in this instance is going to be the AR score dot current x. It's kind of like the loop index. So as it goes through this for loop 10 times for each x element, it creates this current x. That means I am currently on the 0 position of the array. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to set that to int token at. Now token at is an expression. What it's going to do is it's going to break up this string for us. Okay. So see, the first thing it asks is our text, and in this case our text is our high score variable. Okay. Then it's going to ask for our index, which again is arscore.currentX. And then it's going to ask arscore. CurrentX. All right. And then it's going to ask for our separator, which in this case we're using a comma. Okay, so we're using a comma to separate our zeros. Okay, so what this is going to do is we have 10 X elements in our array, 0 through 9. So it's going to go through this loop, and on the first one, it's going to say at the index of 0, we're going to add the first element of this, which is 0 in this case. Okay? And it's going to basically go through that all time, breaking up this based on the commas. Okay? That's just hard to explain. Hopefully I'm explaining it and I'm not like overdoing it. Okay. So we're going to check for the key. If it exists, great. We're going to break up the key and store them in the array. Else, if it doesn't exist, we're going to do the same for loop. Okay, just copied and pasted it. And that's it. So basically we're going to be using this high score. So what this is saying is if the local storage exists, it's going to replace this high score with whatever we have stored. If it doesn't exist, it's going to use all zeros. Okay, so kind of like a starting spot. Okay? Awesome. Now, next thing we need to do is under our onStart of layout, we want to add a blank sub-event, and we want to sort our array, Rx. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to take all the values that are in that array, and it's going to sort them lowest number to highest number. Okay, so we have a nice sorted list. Okay, so now our array is sorted lowest to biggest in ascending order. Okay, so now we're going to compare our timer, right, because that's what we're using for our score. And we want to know if our timer is greater than our array score that is in the 0 position. Oops, arscore dot at the 0 index. So after the sort, the lowest number of these 10 numbers should be at spot 0, the first index of the array. Okay? So we want to know is if our current score that we just got is higher than this, right? What we're going to do is we're going to delete index 0. We are going to insert our int timer, meaning our score, at index 0 on axis x. So basically we're going to replace what was the lowest score with our current score. Okay, so we're pushing off the lowest score off the list altogether. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and just sort it again. So this way, no matter what our score is, everything is now sorted again. All right? Awesome. Okay, now we need to populate all the text boxes. All right, so, wait, is that not? Oops, this needs to be part of onStart of layout as well. Okay, everything in here is a sub-event of onStart of layout, okay? Add sub-event. So what we're going to do now is a for each our text score, okay? And then we need to add a local variable, and we're just going to name this n, and we're going to start it out at 9. Oops, needs to be down there. Okay. All right, and what we're going to do is set our text to AR score at N. All right, and then we're going to subtract 1 from N. All right, so this is going to loop through each time for each text box. So the first time through, it's going to grab the score at position 9, which in our case is the highest number, because remember, it's sorting it lowest to highest. So the last one, the last index in the array, is going to be the highest score. Okay, so we're going to put that one in the first text box. And then it's going to go through this whole loop, counting down 9, 8, 7, 6, until you get to the lowest score, which will be in the 10th position. Okay? And then when that's done, let's add another blank sub-event, and we need to update our web storage with all of this new information. Right, so we're going to do web storage set local value. Our key is w high score, and our value, now this is kind of a long one, okay? We're going to do AR score at 0 and a comma and, so basically we're going to build this back up, okay, to go ahead and store it. So I'm going to copy that and then I'm going to paste it several times. All right, so we're just going to change this to at 1, at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you don't need this trailing ampersand and comma. Okay, so we updated our score, we resorted it, and now we're going to dump it back into web storage for the next time we come back in here. Okay? And that's essentially it. Now you may want to add a button on here. I don't have a sprite for it, so I'm just going to use a button for now. You can add a little button over here that says like clear scores. All right, and you can use this if you want to clear the high scores. You know, you can do button unclicked web storage clear local storage. So that's going to wipe out all the local storage if you want to do that. Okay, and one last thing, let's add a sprite that lets us restart our game if we want to from here. Alright, we got our retry button and touch on touched object. And go to layout game. Let's try this again. Oh, there's our title screen. Alright, we're flying. Now remember, we have a high score of 34 right now. $22. I'll be fast forwarding this video. There we go. All right. So there is your high score. All right. All right, guys. Later.